So we are live. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Vanessa Walker, and this is my cousin, special guest, LaQuanda.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we are. Hello. So she is in town today, so I, of course, had to pull her into a live with me. I couldn't just do the live by myself, and so, of course, by any means, whatever you want to contribute, please jump in at any time. We are going to have a different type of mini training today, where normally in the past I've talked about kind of Instagram stuff and how to be successful on Instagram. But today I want to talk about how to be successful within your business. At the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs, and especially if you're following my page, you're an entrepreneur of some type. And, you know, sometimes we need to talk about things about business, not just social media. So if you're just joining us today, we're talking about decision fatigue. I don't know about you, but I know I've had so much decision fatigue.
Somebody else make the decision for me.
Just make the decision for me. I'm just sick of it. I'm tired, and you can just do it, and I'm gonna sit back and relax. And so, and I believe that, I hate to say this, but I believe the pandemic really made it worse. Like, it made it so much worse because I've been home all day doing my corporate job. I've been momming at the same time. I've been a wife at the same time. I'm trying to do my design business at the same time. And it's like all of these decisions that you have to make in every category of your life. Like, I'm exhausted. And so I did a little research, and the average adult makes 35,000 decisions in one day. 35,000, and that's from USA Today. They did a research. And just think about it. You wake up in the morning because your alarm goes off. First decision that needs to be made.
Am I getting up right now?
Am I getting up right now? Or am I going to hit the snooze? Then if you're like, okay, I'm going to hit the snooze, when it happens again, it starts all over. But if you get up, what are you supposed to be doing? Okay, am I going to literally get up, or am I going to meditate for a minute? Am I going to go get dressed? Do I need to take a shower? What do I have? And I'm sure if you're like me, I have 9,000 things that I'm running through in my mind, before my feet hit the floor. What is my schedule today? What are the boys supposed to be doing? Where did my husband say he had to go today? Just so many things, and my feet haven't even hit the floor yet. So when it comes to decision fatigue, the way that it really shows up for you is you're overly exhausted, right? Or you're overly stimulated. So you either can't go to sleep, or you're sleeping all day. Like, everything that you're doing, you're just nodding and go to sleep. Or you feel extra stressed. Or you also, I know for me, my version was okay, I'm not going to deal with this right now. I'm going to go get something to eat. So when we said pandemic weight, yeah, my decision was I'm not going to deal with that right now, and I'm going to go eat. What about you? What are some versions of decision fatigue that you had to deal with?
I'm going to go watch Netflix.
Netflix, that's a good one.
Because I need to distract myself.
Yep, that's a good one.
You're staring at the monitor for way too long. You're sitting there and 15 minutes have gone by, and then you realize, I haven't actually hit the keyboard.
Yeah.
And just forgetfulness. Once you're overstimulated, you're trying to figure out what you actually did, which is why my to-do list is great, because I'm trying to figure out where I was and how I got here.
Right. I'm going to teach you how to avoid decision fatigue again. And it's really one of those things where, I want to bring it to your entrepreneur journey, and how can you help yourself avoid it. But then also, of course, you can really translate this to any aspect of your life. But today, I'm going to talk about it from an entrepreneur standpoint. So when you are an entrepreneur, to say you're just starting out, like LaQuanda and myself, you are technically a solopreneur. You're doing it all by, everything you're doing it by yourself. And so when you have to make every decision for your business, that can be exhausting. And from what are you going to name the business? What are your colors? What is your font? Am I going to have stationery or no? Am I going to have a website or no? How am I going to approach my customers, right? My sales technique, or how am I going to market? which social media platform am I going to, I mean, there's so many decisions you have to make.
How are you going to build out your website? And who are you using to do your website?
Who are you using? I mean, I know everything that I've done for my business, I've had to do like a million things of research, whether it was just Google or YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube was my life. I learned so much from YouTube.
Yeah. I know, for example, one point, I really wanted to find something that helped me automate the customer experience in whatever capacity. And I probably tried like 9 million CRM, type of things, from Asana to Monday.com to now Trello, Honeybook. I mean, and I literally YouTubed each one, was like, okay, what's the benefit of this one? Do I have to pay for it? If I don't, what am I missing out on? And so it's just so many things within your business that as a solopreneur, like, you are doing it by yourself. So let's talk about, when you're starting to feel overwhelmed, what are some things that you can do so in the future, so you can arm yourself in the future that you don't have to deal with this. So number 1, follow routines. Follow a routine. Number 2, decrease options. Number 3, remove time out of the equation. And that one right there, I know that's a corporate sales technique as well, like removing time out of the equation. Basically saying, like, don't give your customer or your client too much time to like gnaw on something. Like, I require them to make a decision now if they can. But if not, you let them know, like, okay, in 2 to 3 days, if I don't hear from you, I'm going to contact you again. And basically, like, you're going to make a decision if we're going to do this or no. So number 4, make important decisions early. And that one is probably like the most annoying one, because that means you're probably going to take the most time with it. Mm-hmm. So if one of the first things that you do in your day, whether it's your work day or just, your personal life, if you make your important decisions early, then the rest of the day you're smooth sailing and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And then number 5, avoid rehashing decisions. If you're like me in any way, you're like second guessing yourself. And that is where imposter syndrome lives. And so I'm not going to go through each one in detail, but I did want to talk about decreasing options. So if you want to learn more about the other 4, make sure to subscribe to my newsletter as I dive into it a little bit more in my newsletter that's coming out on Monday. So decreasing options. When I say decreasing options, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
It's a this or that.
This or that.
It's not this, and that.
Yeah.
It's this or that.
Yeah, that's it. When I heard decreasing options, I thought about a diet.
Yeah. Restrictions.
Like, if you were on a diet. Okay, so before I got married, just quick story. Before I got married, I went on like this really hardcore diet. And I probably threw away so much food. It was ridiculous, because I knew if it was in the house, I was going to eat it. Because in your mind, you're like, well, I paid for it. I don't want to waste money. And it's here. And I start my diet as soon as like I finish these 4 bags of chips. And it's like, no, just get rid of them. But let's translate that into being an entrepreneur / solopreneur, because again, most of this is probably happening really hard to you if you're doing everything by yourself. So when you're first starting off as an entrepreneur, the number of packages and services that you offer don't have, 9 million offerings and services, because you're going to get overwhelmed in just trying to keep up with all that product. 2, you're going to be in a situation where you're trying to please everyone. Mm-hmm. I know when I first started as a content designer, of course, I'm trying to understand what like an ideal client would want from me. And I did it backwards. I try to like test the waters and then create an ideal client from what I was getting. Fortunately, I've had some clients that like gave me some incredible grace, but it was bad. Like in my head, it went bad. Like some of my clients probably had like no idea. Like anything that they threw my way, I was trying to please them. I was trying to be like, okay, so you want to do this or that? Okay, great. Like but I had no idea. That was not part of my original offering. Now I have solid packages. I will allow you to remove something, but I'm not going to let you add something different. It's either you just get more of something that's already within my package. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel of what I just created to give myself some like less things to worry about. Because now for you, I'm telling you like, okay, look, these are things that I'm doing. It's either you ride the train or you don't. And I'm going to be 100% okay if you tell me like this is not for me and so I'm gonna have to work with someone else. I completely understand, and that's okay. Maybe later in life, like one of the biggest things that I get is, can I be a content or social media manager? I don't have the time. And it's not fair to you for me to charge you like this high ticket item and I can't give you quality time, because I still have a corporate job. I'm a mom and a wife, and it would not be fair to you, and I would be half-assing all of it, because on top of it, I'm trying to grow my own social media. So that's just one thing that I have put my foot down and like, no, unfortunately right now, I cannot do that for you. What about for you? Was there anything that you just like, no, I'm not doing that?
It for me was creating too many options, because I deal with physical products. So I make shirts, as you can see.
Yes.
And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to make this shirt in like 9 colors, and it's going to have a different font, and it's going to have a different color vinyl, or it's going to have a different color ink. And I was getting overwhelmed because I created too many options.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to have these 3 color shirts in these sizes.
Yeah.
And this is it.
That's it. I want to say at one point you kind of decreased how much you did like custom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I used to do a lot of custom work. And I only deal with a couple companies now because they started with me. So I don't do any more. I don't take on any new custom items because it wasn't the direction that I really wanted to take my business.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, nope, I don't, when they were recommending me to people, like, call Laquanda. And I'm like, thanks, but don't recommend anybody anymore. I really appreciate your business.
Yeah.
And I love doing great work for you. But that's not the direction I want to go in any longer. And it's, like Vanessa was saying, like my business started in one direction and I was like, nope, that's not going to work. Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because then you're up all night, you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
You're on the weekends, you're just like, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And entrepreneurship, it really is, you have to think and you have to schedule out your time.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just like being at your 9 to 5 that you might be trying to exit. So... just kind of make a decision of where you want to go and what's going to get your happy equilibrium.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes into my next one, like the number of products that you keep talking about, tight inventory. So I used to be a managing partner or a GM, whichever you prefer, for a restaurant. And it was a chain restaurant. And I remember one of the things that they made a decision on was how many ingredients we had in-house. And so they made a decision, if the ingredient was only in one item or one dish, it got eliminated. And they found a way to substitute it with something else. But in order to really keep it, that one item had to at least be in 5 dishes for it to qualify as like a staple item. Originally, we were really upset because we were like, man, we know people really love those dishes and, it sold really well or whatnot. But in reality, it made so much sense. And I know when we did inventory at the end of every month, it was so much easier to count, right? Because mind you, I'm in a deep freezer. So I'm like trying to do this quickly. And it also it eliminated our waste. And I translate that to you for an entrepreneur, not having too many physical options, is how you can have a really tight inventory. Because at the end of the day, I really highly recommend that you always know your numbers. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to lie, I still, even though I'm in sales, I still struggle with it every now and then. But when it comes to inventory, you need to understand, okay, is this product really making me money? Because I have a lot of it and I'm only using it for one item. And if that's the case, then you need to get rid of it and find a way to substitute it, or find I hate to say this, but like maybe like a kind of a lower quality so it doesn't cost as much, but maybe like the overall product at the end is still very high quality. And there's nothing wrong in testing things. So that's something that I wanted to share with y'all, is that there's nothing wrong in maybe getting like a small sample of something and testing it to see if people will really like it. So now you're not stuck, like for you, you're not stuck with like 100 yards of a vinyl that you probably will never use.
And then it goes bad. And now I've wasted money.
You wasted money, right? Like maybe you got like a specialty type vinyl that has like really cool metallic colors. I'm making this up. And you're in your head, you think it's really cool.
Right.
But then no one buys it.
And you're stuck with it.
And you're stuck with it. And, you know, I'm sure vinyl has some form of a shelf life.
It does.
And it's like, now I'm stuck with like 5 rolls of this and no one's buying it. So I highly recommend whenever you want to switch things up, you test it out first. But maybe, you know, you create a VIP program and you give it away for free. Even though that sounds counterproductive, hear me out. Sometimes when you give things away, you can get honest feedback. And when you get your honest feedback, it lets you know should you invest even more. Because if it's something that they know, oh, she's really asking my opinion about this, or she's trying to introduce her business to me, then moving forward, I will get this item again. So bringing it to social media for you, you need to eliminate the number of topics that you're discussing on social media. So I know we have a couple people that just joined us. So today we're talking about how to avoid decision fatigue. And so as an entrepreneur, really as a solopreneur, because again, you're making all the decisions by yourself. So one of them, again, you know, talking about it again, is the different topics that you're discussing on social media. So that's where content pillars come into play. I know when I first started, I was just pumping out content, you know, think that this is what you want to hear. Where in reality, if I niche down even more and I'm talking to a very specific girl, my account like boomed. Like I got so many followers by just being so specific in what I'm talking about. Because, you know, at one point I was talking about being a mom and then being, you know, a corporate professional, entrepreneur, social media tips and tricks, Canva, and so many other things. And it was like, I was all over the place in my topics, even though it was about me. I was the common denominator. But at the end of the day, my page was so, like if you were just to hop on my page, it was so confusing on why you should follow me. So once you eliminate and really niche down, that's why it's important to niche down. And then as you grow your followers, you can start expanding your topics a little bit, but you need to always find a way to bring it back to your content pillars. What do you think about that?
Sounds absolutely true. Because right now my page looks like a hot mess. You don't know what I'm doing. So we talk about this all the time.
Yes, we do.
Like, she's like, okay, you need to do this. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And decision fatigue is because I work in a corporate job and I have a team to manage. So making another decision at the end of the day is just like, that'll wait.
Yeah.
So, you know, then you have to make the decision. Is this a hobby or is this a business?
Is this a business?
You know, and what am I going to do if I'm going to make this a real business?
A real business. So, side story again. When LaQuanta got here, I told her on her way here that like she needed to bring her computer. I'm going to tell on you a little bit. And I told her, I was like, well, you kind of know my thing is social media, and your social media is not where it should be, and we're family, and so I'm going to make sure that you're taken care of. And so we had a mini like consultation situation where I'm like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is like how you should talk about it. This is how you should lay it out. This is how you should plan in the future. Like if you wanted to plan a whole month, like this is how you can do it. And literally laid it out. But like, how did you feel afterwards?
I felt relieved.
Yeah.
Because I literally sat up and made 6 pieces of content in
super
like
quick.
15 minutes.
In 15 minutes. It was so easy. And it was like, I literally just showed her a template, like, okay, use these pixel sizes, and here's mine as an example. I'll show you a couple clicks, and boom. She was like, she had caught quiet for a second. I was like, oh yeah, she over there like creating. And 6 posts just like that. And I told her, just only post 3 times a week. 3 times a week. That's it. Like you don't have to do anything crazy where you're posting 7 times a week, because that's, again, decision fatigue. What in the hell am I going to talk about? 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk about? So kind of just eliminating how many times or how many different topics you talk about on social media really will help you master Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever platform you decide to use. And it's one of those things where I promise you, it's really not as overwhelming when you break it down this way. So I'm kind of going to jump back into business. Hold on, I got a question. So what's a good number for your content pillars? Oh, Tasha, thank you for asking that question. I say just my recommendation, 2 to 3. 4 if you have something strong. So let me give you an example, Tasha. So my content pillars, I have 2. I'm educating and I'm connecting to convert. That's it. That's all I'm talking about. Everything that I'm talking about is doing one of those 2 things. But it's broad enough with education that I can talk a little bit about everything, but the end goal is always the same. So if you're not going to hire me, let me give you a mini tip. And I'm not going to give you all the tricks in the bag, but because the goal is for you to come back to me, but I want you to understand that like technically you probably could do this yourself. Most of my clients, the reason why they come to me is they don't have the time to do it because again, they're busy running their business. So, I don't mind giving you the tip, but I'm not going to give you like all my tricks in the bag. So my tips, fortunately, can be a little bit, I try to keep it to social media, but just like now I'm having a full mini training about being a solopreneur. So this is still educational, but at the end, of course, I'm going to find a way to connect to convert you. Hence, in the beginning of this, I suggested you subscribe to my newsletter. And so if you haven't, please just subscribe to my newsletter where we talk about the other ways to avoid decision fatigue. But now on the other end, let me give another version of this. So there are some people that will niche down even more. So as I say, education, some people will say Instagram tips, right? They're very specific. Like I'm only going to give you Instagram tips and I'm not going to tell you anything else. Then when you make content, you're constantly keeping those 3, maybe 4 in mind. And again, one less thing you have to make a decision on what to create. Number of systems that you have within your business. So basically, how many different processes do you have going on at the same time? So for example, you have your workflow, what you are supposed to do every day. Then you also have the customer experience. Then you also have like a sales cycle, like what does that look like? And then you probably even have something like a repeat customer sales cycle because their sales cycle is going to look very different than someone that's brand new to you. And so I'm going to combine 2 of the topics that I had. I'm going to combine them into one. Workflows we were just talking about this last night. Workflows and automation can be your best friend if used correctly. So let me give you an example of what a workflow can look like. So like I said, I have 2 different type of workflows, and I use Honeybook. So if you're brand new to me, I have a workflow specific for you that I call brand new customer. And then if you're a repeated customer, I have a separate one for you because I want what happens to you look very different from a brand new customer. So a brand new customer clicks the link on my bio, they schedule a consultation with me. They also give me their contact information and they answer a few questions for me right off the bat. That happens as soon as they click the link on my bio. Then I get an email letting me know, Honeybook automatically emails me and says, hey, you have a new consultation on such and such day, and here's your mini questionnaire. And my first job is to start the workflow, right? So the first thing that happens in their workflow, they get a thank you email. Thank you so much for scheduling a consultation with me and wanting to connect with me. And I even remind them right there, if somehow you ended up getting to me, but you did not schedule a consultation, here is the link. Don't forget to do that, because that's happened to me plenty of times where like someone's like, well, why didn't you reach out to me? And I'm like, well, you were supposed to schedule with me, honey boo. So I remind you right there. Don't forget. And then I also let you know in that first email, if you got a reminder or like a confirmation of our consultation together, know that I got one too. Like I'm telling you that I know that you scheduled with me, or I know that you didn't. So that's your first email. I want to say within an hour, it's either within an hour or 2 hours after I activate this workflow, you get another email that's a longer questionnaire. And the reason why I make the longer questionnaire happen after everything, after, you click in the link on my bio, is because if you got to this point, I'm pretty sure you're really serious in working with me and you're not really just testing the water. So that's a timed one, right? So after it's activated 1 hour later, when it's activated, you get the thank you. 1 hour later, you get this longer questionnaire. If you complete this longer questionnaire, something is triggered. What's triggered is you'll now get a brochure. So you will not get my brochure until you finish the questionnaire. And so in HoneyBook, I have it to where like once previous step is completed, then you'll get this. And so it'll know when you give me the questionnaire, and then it'll automatically, within like minutes, it'll send you my brochure. So you can have something to talk about, like, oh, I noticed that you have an influencer package, or you have a signature business package. Can you talk a little bit more about that, right? Because I don't want to guide you on the reason why I don't do the brochure first is because I don't want to influence what you tell me. I want you to be honest and genuine with me, like, these are your needs. And then afterwards, I give you an idea of like, this is how we can mold it. But just know that, if we need to make a few adjustments to them, like it's more of you can take away and I'll just add a bigger quantity of something. But that's what happens next. And and it just keeps going like that. Everything is triggered by something else. Once I get a notification that reminds me to put in consultation notes in HoneyBook, right? So after we have our consultation, I get a reminder. Don't forget to plug in the notes just so you can have it in one place. And then once I check that I did that as a task, and then I check that, and then I'm trying to think what happens next. I think it like helps me, it reminds me like certain parts of the process, like don't forget to send you a proposal, things like that. But one of the things that's different when you're a new customer, we don't go through that first process anymore. Like I don't need a questionnaire from you. I don't need you to like click the link in my bio to schedule something, because you can hit me up and I'll send you my calendar. I have a separate calendar just for you. And because instead of 30 minutes, you get an hour, because obviously we've done business before. So I have a separate calendar just for you. And so then whenever you schedule with me, I trigger a different workflow. So things move a lot faster in that one. And even at the end of our whole process together looks very different. Someone brand new, I'm telling you thank you. Hopefully you can refer me to someone else, and I'm asking for a testimonial. If you're a previous client of mine, I'm asking you for feedback. So the feedback I may not share with anybody, because I just want to know, like, from your experience of working with me constantly, do you have something new for me? But if you're brand new, I want a testimonial from you, that I can use that for, to show, some of my work and things like that on social media. But y'all, workflows can be so good. I would definitely eliminate the amount of systems that you have within your business, and then just find a way to streamline everything. Because last night you and I were just talking about that. Like, how can you make your customer experience just simplify it, just make it so much easier? Or how can you duplicate yourself, right? How can you be in multiple places at one time? And automation is how you can do that. And another part of that is creating templates for everything. If you can create a template for it, like, just do it. For example, emails. You should have an email template for like every situation. It is so annoying to put it together, but I promise you it makes life so much easier and faster whenever you're working with a client. So if, for example, when I'm ready to give you your designs, I have a template that I have, but I do need to customize it a little bit, because obviously the links that you receive from me are very different from somebody else. So there's actually like bolded letters inside of my template to remind me, change this area and add link or something like that. I do something that it is really obvious that there's an action item for me to do, versus just clicking check mark, and it automatically sends itself to you. So what are your thoughts on templates and automation? Do you think you're gonna
Yes.
try it?
The templates. So she gave me some ideas, and it made my life so much easier because I was like, okay, I don't have to now think about what colors am I using or what. Like I had an idea and I was like, well, I want to do this so that it looks the same. Like, so if you ever see it, you'll know that that's me.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, well, just do this. And I was like, okay. And
Just
that's how I
simplify
it. 6 pieces. I was like, oh, that was real simple.
Real simple.
Because I was over here complicating stuff. Like I wanted to be, probably needed a production team and some other stuff. And it's just me. And so I had to scale down. You know, my ideas be grandiose. And I was like, yeah, no.
Because I would get on to her like, sis, I have not seen.
You haven't posted anything
You haven't posted
in like
anything.
a week. What are you doing?
What are you doing? And so
I'm going to, yeah, no.
And she'd be like, oh, I want to do this type of video, or I want to do this type of image, and I want to piece everything together. And it's like, no, stop. Like, just do this and make it a template and just do it over and over again. Just because okay, when you repurpose your content, let's explain that really quick. When you repurpose your content, don't feel guilty for doing it, because some people, one, are going to miss it, right? They're not going to see the first piece of content that you did. So you posting it again, oh, now I caught it. And maybe you referenced the first one, but you just literally reposting something, it doesn't matter. Or like repurposing a picture over and over again, because we were talking about that.
Yeah. Like now that she brought it to my attention, I was like, oh yeah, I remember I saw this girl and she literally has the same photo, but she has different captions. And it wasn't like all the time, but I noticed, I was like, wait, is that the same? Oh, but I wasn't really focused on her photo. I was focused on what she said, and the photo just brought me attention to who she was. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because we always feel like we have to reinvent the wheel. Like we want us to stand out. And you hear people say, just use somebody else's stuff. Because, you know, but you can always take a twist on it to make it yours.
So repurposing, and I, like, for example, I also repurpose some of the content onto other platforms, right? This information that we're talking about right now, I'm going to repurpose this into a newsletter, but I'm giving you more in the newsletter, right? So today we only talked about one type of decision fatigue, right? And how to eliminate it. So it's eliminating decisions or decreasing options. But there's other versions, like we talked about in the beginning: following routines, remove time out of the equation, make important decisions early. So all of that, I'll dive into that more in my newsletter on Monday, that comes out on Monday. But the benefit of you joining my newsletter is you get that information, because you're not going to get it here on social media. And I did that intentionally, right? Because I want you to continue the conversation with me on a different platform. That's all I have for you. What are your thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts on decreasing options?
It'll be your best friend.
Yeah.
It'll make your life easier. And it'll keep you from procrastinating.
Yeah.
Like I do.
Because and then you learn to make just like after you practice that, you make decisions so much faster. And making faster decisions, you'll be more confident in making them. And so, like I said, we'll see you on Tuesday for the replay, and then we'll see you live next Saturday for another mini training session. So y'all have a great Saturday.
Take care.
Bye.